How does a 12-year-old Porsche stand the test of time? Well, we've got this beautiful Cayman in stock, and I want to find out.
The winner is Cartwright!
So just want to quickly touch on the styling then, because I think most people know Porsches do very little when it comes down to styling to change between generations. So the 718 and the 981, there's not really too much really to note, maybe some upgraded headlights and a couple of other funky features, but on the whole, they look pretty similar between generations, which I think is a good thing because Porsches hold their value pretty well considering other cars in the market. Now, I think for a 12-year-old car, it still looks mega. I'm a really, really big fan of the looks of the car. They're very much like Aston Martin, I think. They're quite timeless. They're very elegant. They're very beautiful. Now, Al, if you just come a little bit closer, this car has got upgraded extra wheels. So it's got 20-inch Carrera Sport alloys, which makes a massive, massive difference. It transforms the look of the car. I really like the big air vents on the side. Obviously, these are mid-engines. We'll talk a bit about the engine going forward because that's a big important part of this car because it is a flat six, not the 4-cylinder that the newer Caymans come with. No bueno. We've also got sport tipped exhaust, so we've got the upgraded sports tips on the exhaust. Not an actual sports exhaust, but we're going to do a sound test, and I can guarantee you, you don't need it. This car sounds mega. I'm a really big fan of the styling, all the rear arches, it blends in beautifully. Big fan of the pop-up spoiler as well. It's just a very pretty good looking car. I mean, even on the way up here, just up to the Bolodrome, pretty much in truth, everyone give us a good look and a good smile because it makes a wicked sound. So on that note, I think we need to make some noise because this 2.7 flat six is immaculate. And like I said, the newer ones, unless you go for a GTS or GT4, have got the 4-litre flat six, but the other ones are a 4-cylinder engine. And in my opinion, if it isn't a flat six, it's not a Porsche. So let's make some noise. So we're going to give it a bit of a run now to get an idea on speed and sound. Like I said, the car really isn't an engine car. It's much more of a chassis car first and foremost. It's very important to clarify because if you're buying this Porsche for straight line speed, it's not slow, but it's not for the right reason. Now, 2.7 flat six is all synonymous with the Porsche brand. It's about 270 brake horsepower. The car itself is pretty light, coming at about 1,300 kg, depending on how much protein you've had the week, I guess, really, Al, doesn't it, to be honest? And it is the all-important PDK. I'm not going to try and pronounce PDK, Al, but if you want to flash it up on the screen now, it basically is a posh German way of saying DCT, so dual clutch transmission, and that makes a massive difference. It certainly shaves off a lot of time on a 0 to 60 compared to the manual. 0 to 60 is about 4.4, so we'll give that a bit of a spin up here as well. But the dual clutch transmission, the PDK, is phenomenal. It makes such a big difference. The downshifts and upshifts are so quick between gears, and that's basically because one clutch is obviously already engaged and the other one is pre-planned and pre-selected, so there's pretty much 2 clutches and gearboxes within a single gearbox. So it's a very smart. Obviously PDK is very synonymous and famous with the Porsche brand, but it makes such a big difference. So we're going to get on a bit of a straight now and we're going to give it a bit of a hoon, so we'll find out A, how good it sounds and how fast this car really is. So we're on a nice bit of open road now. Let's open the car up and see what it's got on a straight line. So quick between the changes. That DCT that PDK makes such a big difference. You lose absolutely no speed or traction between the changes. That's a beautiful thing of the PDK. Not only does it speed your changes, you don't lose traction from coming on and off the clutches because it's just instantaneous. It's phenomenal. For a car that isn't really designed to be fast in a straight line, it's pretty quick, and that PDK gearbox has everything to thank for that because it makes such a difference. That is night and day. So yeah, without a question of a doubt, this is a pretty quick and nimble car. Obviously the power to weight ratio is pretty healthy with it being such lightweight and 275 brake or 270 brake. But Al, if you jump out now, do a couple of flybys, get some real good exterior notes to that flat six because it's such a beautiful sounding car and it loves to rev. And when you get this car right up in the rev, even on the downshift there, when you get it working beautifully well, it sounds phenomenal. It's very harmonious, isn't it? I think that's the way you'd explain how that flat six sounds. It's such a gorgeous note, it is. It's very It's very Moorish, I think. Let's give it a listen. So alongside the exterior being pretty timeless and elegant, I think the interior matches that vibe as well. I think Porsche have always been sort of very minimalistic, and I think it works really nicely because when you get an older Porsche, it feels old, but it feels old in the right way. It looks beautiful, and I think, again, there's not much change between the generations between Porsches. They all have the same very similar styling in between, and I think that makes a big, big difference. Like I said, I talked to you a bit earlier about how they hold their value, and I think that makes a big, big difference because there isn't, apart from the power, performance, and drivetrain, there isn't that much difference, maybe infotainment, of course, but the layout and everything's very much the same, and that has a benefit to anyone, I think, buying a Porsche, because if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And I think the interior pretty much summarizes that beautifully well. So, couple of nice features for this car. It is platinum grey is the interior, so half Alcantara, half leather, and I think it works really, really well with the white Guards red seat belts, which are a little bit bold, but I quite like it. The Sport Chrono package, all importantly, and it's got sport design steering wheel, which I'm a really big fan of. It's got all your other creature comforts, Bluetooth, DAB, etc., aircon. But I do quite like the interior, and it just fits very timeless. Everything you touch is nicely finished, leather, everything's soft, and you do have cup holders in here, which makes a big difference. When you're in a sports car without a cup holder, no good. Big fan. In some of our older videos, some of our older viewers would remember we used to do a boot test. Now, not possible because it's mid-engined, so we're gonna have to do a frunk test. I might take my shoes off for this. Hold on. We can stand it. Oh my God. Hold on. I reckon I'm gonna have to go body in for. If I can, like, there you go. No. Give that a whirl. Oh my God, I think I'm in. Can you get me out, please? Oh my God. Yes, if you're 6'1", it's all right. I got this. I need to make it look easy as possible. Yes, you can fit in the frunk. Frunk is not the word I'd use, but it would begin with F. Oh dear. So, talked a little bit earlier about how it is not an engine car, it's a chassis car, and I think that's pretty much what Porsche embodies beautifully well. First and foremost, I mentioned it's mid-engine. The car has near perfect weight distribution. It's 46/54 front to rear, so the car is beautifully well balanced, and you can certainly feel that in and around some of the bends. The car handles phenomenally. It's such a brilliantly well balanced piece of German engineering. It gives you so much confidence to throw it in the bends, and at low speeds you can get the back step quite nicely, but just a slight midget counter steer, and the back end comes around beautifully well. It's such a nice car to drive. Now, like I said, it is a B-road killer. Yes, it is pretty quick in a straight line, but if you're on a German Autobahn, you'll get lost behind a Golf R, but that's not about what this car embodies. In my opinion, it's easily one of the best handling mid-engine sports cars money can buy, and I think that's pretty much what it comes down to, because it's just value for money now. This car is priced in a very competitive market, and I think if you put a private plate on the car, I think it probably looks like a 40-50 grand car. So we've got some nice little B-roads up here. I'm going to try and open the car up a little bit without getting stuck behind traffic, because it's so much fun. Like I said, the power delivery is phenomenal with that PDK gearbox, and the weight distribution just creates such a thoroughbred, enjoyable drive. It's a very purist drive, it is, to be honest, and you don't lose too much feel from a PDK. I know some people are very purist with manual. I think the PDK just gives you so much more fun, and the downshifts are so beautifully well timed, and the upshifts as well. It's not a disappointment. We've actually just taken in a Mustang actually, and the automatic gearbox in that, I wouldn't buy it. It's horrible. It's very not enjoyable to drive, and this, you don't get the feeling with that. I don't think you'd be disappointed jumping out of a manual to this PDK, because I think the PDK just actually just is a benefit to the car itself, which normally is quite rare for a mid-engine sports car in a sense of this era. You know, the manuals were almost king back then, but I think the PDK is so far advanced. You know, for 2013, it's still better than most modern gearboxes to date. So let's try and find a bit of an open road in a moment up here, and we'll show you what the car's got. So how did a 12-year-old Cayman stand the test of time, or stand my heavy foot? Pretty well, in my opinion. I'm really impressed with the car, and I think if you get the opportunity to buy, own or test drive a Cayman, certainly the flat six, not the four-cylinder, either this or the Cayman S's being the bigger upgraded size of engine, they are both equally brilliant in their own right. I don't think there's that much difference, certainly not in the bends between this and an S. In a straight line speed, you would notice it, but I think value for money, what the Cayman 2.7 offers is brilliant. I mentioned earlier about residual values and how well they hold their value. Porsches, it's not a secret, Porsches predominantly do so in the market. We've got this car on sale for 25,995. It's got 65,000 miles on the clock. Lovely history, loads with Porsche, so it's been beautifully well cared for in its previous life. Auto Trader analytics at the start of the year were in and around the same retail value we are now. And then towards in December, when the market's at the lowest, Auto Trader predict the car will still be worth 25 and a bit thousand pounds. So the whole of the year, this Porsche has not deviated in price. Just to give you an idea, there's not a drip or drop of depreciation on this car, according to the Auto Trader gurus and brainheads there. In my opinion, it's a phenomenal car, and I think it still has all the raw essence, and it still drives like a very modern car. So that PDK gearbox feels like it is only 6 months old. It is beautiful.